Yes.
A week ago today, the county approved the $215 million budget. The Pitt County Commissioners, that is, Commissioner Webb. And let's start with this. Pitt County Sheriff Neil Elks, his salary was increased by 16%, bringing his total compensation package in the range of $105,000. Can we talk about the basis for that decision?
Sure. When you look at a chief executive spot, you have to pay what the position's worth, especially if you want talent in that spot. You look at other sheriffs, traditionally it's been kept low so people wouldn't have competition, but this sheriff has realized that for his deputies' pay to go up, the top pay has to go up. So that's a good first step in getting our deputies compensated, because if you look in the market of where those deputies are paid, they're underpaid, especially when you look at the ground they have to cover and all the responsibilities of the sheriff's office that they have to do. They're not paid at leaving their market level. So we did a market adjustment. It wasn't a merit increase. When it comes to elected officials, your merit's decided by the voters, and the voters apparently believed he did a good job because they, by a wide margin, returned him to office. And so we need to pay what the position's worth. If you look at neighboring counties, even with this raise, he's still $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 behind. If you look at just in the county, there's several positions where he's behind as well, but this was a good first step.
I agree. Along those same lines, were you surprised after the May 19th decision was made to give 4 other county employees a pay increase? Were you surprised that that they turned that 4% bonus down? And we're speaking of, I can't think of all the names off the top of my head. I know Scott Elliott, the county manager, was one, but you guys approved back in May to give them a bonus, a 4% bonus, I believe, and they turned that down. Were you surprised by that decision to do that?
Well, I wasn't surprised. I mean, they always operate, despite what anyone may think of them, they try to operate within the best interest of the county. When they saw that it wasn't a good thing going forward for the county, that they decided to return those bonuses. And as you know, I voted against it because I didn't think it was the right time, especially when we couldn't give a full merit increase or opportunity for merit throughout the rest of the organization. So I think they ultimately did the right thing.
Commissioner Glen Webb with us, the Vice Chairman of the Pitt County Board of Commissioners here on Talk of the Town. Should also point out that this county budget was approved last week without any additional taxes on the county residents, something that you were very proud of, I know.
Yes. Whenever you can make things fit within your revenues, that's a good thing. Although, at the same time, though, it does keep you from going the whole way on some things. The school board wanted an extra $2.2 million. I think we were able to give them $500,000. I know they'll use it well.
And we thank you.
Well, we're very happy with the relationship that we have with the school board. A lot of counties don't enjoy that. It's part of our state association. I talk to commissioners all across the state, and we're one of the few that have a really good working relationship with our school board. Even though sometimes we seem at odds, we're always able to come to the table and get things done.
Well, speaking of that, the 2014-15 fiscal year budget does include additional funds for the Pitt County schools. Was that a top priority going in for you guys to see to it that Pitt County schools receive those funds?
Absolutely. When you look at our priorities, education and public safety are 1 and 2. And that is really a mandate that we have. The state, it's in the state constitution, not for counties, but part of the state constitution is to provide an adequate education. A lot of that falls on the local jurisdictions, and so we take that very seriously.
And Jennifer, I know something you're happy about to see.
Oh, sure. Unfortunately, unfortunately, the relationship that we have is really based on funding. I mean, let's face it. And if we don't think that it's a priority of our county commissioners, then obviously we would not all be on the same page. And we all are on the same page when it comes to education being a huge priority in the county. So, we want to be able to provide more educational curriculum or different resources and teachers. Obviously, we have very qualified teachers, but you got to be able to pay them. It goes back to the comparative salaries, whether it's administration or teachers. And when you compare and trying to compete with a lot of the kids that are graduating from East Carolina or in the teaching profession, they're shopping for the best salary. Well, it doesn't cost that much to drive to Wilson County. It doesn't cost that much to go to Edgecombe County. And if they're paying just a little bit more cash in pocket for a teacher, well, you know what? It's worth it for them to go over those other counties to get paid more money. So we have to be competitive that way and keep our teachers in our county that are very well trained and well educated and good teachers. So it does matter, and it does help to know that our county commissioners do take it very seriously and are willing, can help when they can. And I understand it's always an issue, just like it is with anything. But no, we do really do appreciate it, and our students will. And teachers definitely will benefit from it.
And good to know that there's a positive relationship between the two entities there. Commissioner, what was also approved was the animal control expansion proposal known as the Canine Control Ordinance. Now, that's passed by a vote of 8-1. You being the lone no vote on that, you spoke out against or shared your feelings against requiring a licensing fee for dog owners. Can you expand more on your feelings regarding that decision?
Sure. And I want to say, too, that I believe we need a canine control ordinance. There are issues in the county. We have some feral dog problems. We have even some neighborhood dog problems. So there's needed to be something. I would just have liked to have seen something more moderated, a slower implementation, maybe add 1 or 2 staff, give the animal control the authority to pick up these stray dogs, and then reevaluate it in 6 to 8 months, see where we're at, see if we need to increase even further. And then we could operate within revenues instead of having to do a license fee. And it's $10 to $20, depending on whether the dog is spay or neutered. And then there's special licensing fees. Let's say you have a lot of hunting dogs. I'm not sure what the fee is. It's $100 to $200, something like that. But, those people weren't told that when they were signing petitions and approving this. And in fairness, though, when the petition was going around for this, the funding mechanism wasn't included, so they weren't lied to. But you have to pay for it somehow, and this is the way it was decided to pay for it. I don't like user fees, especially with owning a pet, because it seems like you're punishing the people who are already obeying the rules. And I think we should, hammer the violators and protect the people who are already good pet owners. Because if you look at people that have indoor dogs, my mom is the example I always give. She has this really old Dachshund, and he's not fixed, so it's going to cost $20 a month. But there's no way in the world you could give him a 6-week head start, he'd never make it out of the yard, or maybe not even off the couch. And so,
He's
I know
not
it's
dating
just
or anything, is he?
no, he's not, and his days are over. And
Good thing.
but just like that, I know it's a small amount of money, but Mom obeys the rules. They have a fenced-in yard.
Yeah.
Joey's
She's a
not going
responsible
anywhere.
pet owner.
Exactly. And so that bothered me, and that was really my no vote. Was I would have liked to seen a slower implementation and something that we could gauge. Okay, in 6 months, this is where we're at, because government programs never go backwards. They never get smaller. I think it was Ronald Reagan said that the closest thing to eternal life on this earth was a government program, and they never get cheaper. So while $10 or $20 isn't a lot out of your pocket right now, what's it going to cost us for that staff? Because that's where the money's going. What's it going to cost for that staff member in 10, 15 years? When you look at the expense, it's all tied up in staff. It's not, the facilities are usually a one-time expense, and upkeep isn't that expensive. But if you just have a $30,000 employee, that's going to cost the taxpayer about $70,000 or $80,000 by the time you factor in their Social Security, their workman's comp, and everything that comes along with an employee. So naturally, that fee's going to have to go up at some point.
So if the dog is spayed or neutered, just $10, and then
Yes.
$20 if it is not.
And that's per year. And my other issue was with the enforceability of it. Are we going to create a list of animal owners? What if the pet dies? What if you foster pets? I mean, who pays what, when, where, and why? And I know they were going to base it off the rabies shots, but the vets don't want to collect it. So where's it going to get collected? And are we going to spend $30 to collect $10 at the tax office? And it's just a
And I was curious, if a pet
Logistical
owner
nightmare.
that lived in Pitt County takes their animal to a clinic in Edgecombe County or Lenore County. I mean, how would that?
Right. Then you've obeyed the state law, and you have your dog vaccinated, but we have no record of that. So that comes back to the enforceability of it. So that's why I really felt a more moderated approach. So, expand and evaluate and see where you're at, and if we need further expansion, then we commit to it.
Also, something that was in this morning's paper, Commissioner Webb, the fact that the Winterville Town Council likely looking to come to the Board of Commissioners, who actually voted last week to approach the commissioners with a request to fund part of the $61,620 the council members cut from the library's budget. Where do you see this going with the Winterville Town Council with that library?
Well, obviously, we don't want to get in some kind of shooting war with another board, especially one within our own borders. But I don't see it going very far. We've already approved a budget. The Winterville Library, it was not something the county imposed on the town. It was I think it was 1989 when I was 12. The Winterville board came to the county commissioners and asked
15.
for a library, and at the time they didn't have the money. The commissioners didn't, and so in 1991 the town of Winterville entered into an agreement with Shepherd Memorial Library where they would fund it. So this was something that they entered into without the county, and it was part of that system. And the Shepherd system's a 2/3, 1/3 as well. So the city of Greenville has skin in the game with the Shepherd system. They pay 2/3 of it. The county pays 1/3 of it. And I don't see it going very far. I think, but ultimately it's going to be a local decision of whether or not and to what extent they want a library. I am glad that they did the continuing resolution for the library for the next 3 months. That'll give them some leeway to figure some things out. I don't think the county's going to be able to cover that. I think that if we were to come up with 61,000 there, we'd have to come up with it for Ayden and Farmville. And I think the school system would also wonder where that 61,000 was
Right.
coming from, as well as the sheriff, who's got plenty of needs that we were unable to fund, just like the schools. And then you go right on down through DSS and everything else that we do. So we have a budget that is, despite revenues coming back some, it's still a bare bones budget. We're not adding a lot of staff other than where we had to with DSS because in a meeting I had with the governor, we were told there is no money coming from the state, that it was on the local folks. And if we didn't do what we needed to do and we caused the state to lose a lot of federal funding, Pitt County was going to look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all in all, the consensus seems to be pretty good across the board in regard to feeling good about where the budget is and the approval that took place a week ago Monday. And I commend you guys on. I know it's difficult to have to budget and to prioritize what to budget for. So kudos to you guys for getting that
Without
done.
a tax increase, we have the absolute best budget you can have. I mean, you can tax and have the greatest budget in the world if you can fund everything as far as you're willing to go, but it's not the right time for that, especially when we're looking at the Pitt Community College bond that was passed. That's going to be a 2-cent tax increase. It's going to go on for 20 years.
Right.
And so my son will be my age by the time we
wow.
stop paying for that.
Yeah.
And I know I was against that. I wasn't against the projects. I just think we should have found a different way to fund them.
Sure. Understood.